1972년 2월 서울 시청 건물 뒤에서 태어난 지 3달 된 한 남자아이가 발견됩니다. 미국으로 입양되기까지는 2년의 시간이 걸렸는데요. 그는 힘겨운 청소년 시기를 미국에서 보냈다고 합니다. 그리고 이제 어른이 되어 다시 찾은 한국에서 그는 새로 태어난 느낌을 받았다고 합니다. 2살 나이에 한국을 떠나 성인이 되어 다시 돌아온 조국. 그에게는 과연 어떤 일들이 있었던 것일까요? 한국보건복지부 산하 아동권리보장원과 미주중앙일보가 공동 제작하고 있습니다. Looking for Mom Together의 최인성입니다. Looking for Mom Together는 오늘 현재 잉글랜드에 살고 있는 로버트 앤더슨, 김기정씨와 이야기 나눕니다. 화상으로 초대했습니다. 안녕하세요.
안녕하세요.
반갑습니다. How are you?
한국말 못해요.
한국말 잘하는 것 같은데. 네. It's good to see you. Good to see you smile.
Thank you. It's good to see you.
Sure. So please introduce yourself to our viewers briefly.
Yeah, as you said, my name's Robert Anderson, but my friends call me Rob, and my Korean name is Kim Ki-jung. I was 2.5 years old when I was adopted through Holt, and I currently live in England and work in IT as a consultant.
Thank you. Based on your paperwork, what do we know about what really happened between this behind the city hall to all the way to Minnesota airport? Tell us.
Yeah, that's a good question. I honestly don't know that much. So I know that on May 9th, 1972, I was abandoned behind City Hall in Seoul. I was found by a stranger and taken in by Seoul's City Children's Section. And from there, the next day, I was taken to Chunghyun Baby Home, which is an orphanage. And there I lived until I was 2.5 years old. On February 7th, 1974, I was referred to Holt Children's Services for overseas adoption. And about 4 months later, in July, I was placed with my adoptive parents. And then finally, on the 16th of August, 1974, I landed in Minnesota, and I had to leave everything that I knew up till then behind to go live with my new family.
I see. I have some of the pictures over here back then. I'm sure you saw these pictures, kept these pictures for many, many years.
Yes.
Do you have any memories or recollection of all this paperwork?
No. In fact, one of those pictures I hadn't even seen until I was an adult.
Oh.
So those 2 pictures or 3 pictures and 2 progress reports are all that I have in terms of my record from my time in Korea.
Now later on, you found that all these paperworks and records are vanished. What happened to Chunghyun Baby House? You said?
Yeah, Chunghyun Baby Home. So basically, I went there in 1999 and with a friend of mine who was a native speaking Korean, and she helped me to try to find my birth records and stuff like that. But with Chunghyun, the orphanage, they went and looked for my records and found that my records were all water damaged and they no longer existed.
Oh.
But they were able to give me one of the pictures that you showed.
I see. I also have the paperwork that you sent me when you were adopted through Holt. And back in 74, you said July, you landed here in Minnesota. I also
In
have
August, yeah.
August, I'm sorry. The pictures of you in the Boy Scout pictures.
Yes,
High school, I think, or maybe junior high, you became
high school.
bigger and bigger. All those activities, beautiful pictures. And I even have this when you're running marathon, I believe, right?
Yeah, I loved running.
Okay. Now, tell us about your life here in the United States. How did it go, as far as you remember?
Yeah, it didn't go very well. I grew up in a small town in the 70s in northwest Minnesota. The town was about 8,000 people, and they were all pretty much white Caucasian. And it was really difficult to fit in because the impression I got was they didn't like anyone who was different. So I'd go into shops and store vendors would treat me like I was a criminal and follow me around. And it took me until I was actually 25 years old to be able to just go into a shop and look around and not feel like I have to buy something. Otherwise, they, feel like I'm shoplifting or something. So that was hard. And then I was also oftentimes called chink or some other derogatory name. And adults would tell me to go back home to where I came from. It was just a lot of racism, a lot of prejudices, and I had very few friends while I was growing up. I never dated anyone because, I didn't fit the mold in terms of what a classical, handsome boy would be. So, and because of all this, I had really low self-esteem, and I developed a really biting sarcasm because of it.
Now you grew up and you decided to go back to Korea back in 1999, if I'm not mistaken. And you also traveled many places, and you stayed in Scotland, but you are in England now. Tell us how you grew up and all the time that you spent in Korea, and how did it affect you?
Yeah, I actually went to Korea 3 times. The first time in 1997, and that was just a pure chain of events coincidences that caused me to end up going to Korea at that time. But it was a 2-week trip, and the first time that I stepped off the plane, I just felt like I was coming home. And I wonder if it was something innate that was in me when I was a baby that recognized it. I don't know. But it was just such a strange feeling, because up until then, Korea was just another country to me. It wasn't one that I had a particular desire to go visit.
Right.
But as soon as I stepped off the plane, I just felt like I was home again. And I just really felt like I never should have been taken away from it. And then the 2 weeks ended, and I ended up going back again for 3 weeks in 1999. That's when I tried to do the search for my biological parents, and where I found that my, orphanage records were water damaged. And then in 2000, my brother-in-law ended up having some heart issues and went in for a major operation. And my sister was there as well, and so I was trying to help support my sister. But during that experience, I just realized I was working in this job that I wasn't passionate about, and I thought, well, I'm young. I don't want to end up just wasting my life. So the next day after my brother-in-law's operation, I went in and gave my notice and quit my job. And then just again, by a series of circumstances, an opportunity came up in Korea for me to work for a company there.
I see.
So I did that and just absolutely loved living in Korea. But it wasn't always easy. I wasn't fluent in Korean at the time, and I'm still not, but I did it because of that, and also because I didn't know the culture very well. Some of my friends there would actually tell me that I didn't belong in Korea, that I wasn't Korean. And that was hard because, if I felt rejected in America, I felt like Korea was rejecting me as well. When I know that it wasn't Korea rejecting me, but it was just my friends telling me this.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, but anyway, while I was in Korea, I started up a friendship with this girl through a message board, actually, on the internet of this author that we both liked. And we decided that we'd like to start dating and stuff. And I moved to Scotland to be closer to her.
Okay.
Unfortunately, that relationship didn't last, but I ended up staying in Scotland and for about 60 years. And the thing I loved about living in Scotland is that there was absolutely no pretense about me trying to fit in. I knew I was an outsider, and that was okay with me at the time. But then in 2008, I went on a vacation to Venice, Italy, and there I met another woman, and that woman would eventually become my wife. But she was living in London at the time, so I moved from Scotland to England, and that was 14 years ago. We dated, we got married, and we now have 4 children together that I absolutely love most of the time.
Good for you. Good for you. I'm glad that you did it, and you've been very successful and happy with the wife and the children over there. So obviously 97, 99, 2000, and also you stayed there many years in Korea, wasn't successful searching for your birth families. And now why all of a sudden, if there's anything that made you start this journey again, do you look for any opportunities or possibilities out there?
I think for myself, I really want to find my biological family, my birth mother at the very least, because she's the only one that has some answers to questions I've had all my life. I mean, why did they wait 3 months before giving me up? What happened during those 3 months? Do I have any siblings, any half siblings? Who do I take after? Most people, when they look in the mirror, they can say, oh, I got my mother's eyes or I've got my father's nose. I don't have that. And those are things that I would like to know. And if there's somebody out there that sort of looks like me.
I see.
And so I really want to find them. And I need to know that on my part, I've done everything I could.
Okay. So most likely you were given up back in 1972, right?
Yes, I was abandoned in 1972.
So let's say your mom was somewhere between early 20 or mid 20. How old she should be now? Something like
about in her 70s.
Early 70s, okay. Or it
Yeah.
could be late 70s or early 80s if anything, if we put things in consideration, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I see. Now, it's hypothetical. We ask this question to every Korean adoptees we interview. Let's say you are sitting down with your birth mom somewhere in Seoul. Very first time, after all this, some 40 years. Now, do you have anything to tell her?
Yeah, I've thought about this a long time. And what I would say to her is, thank you for giving life to me. And while my life as an overseas adoptee has been hard at times, I've managed to make my own beautiful family. And I'm glad that we're able to meet now, and so I can tell you all about the life that you have given me by giving me up. And there are many questions that only you can answer about my life. And these days, when I look at my children, I can see my own face there. But to be able to see my own face in your face, it's just special. So thank you for letting me do this.
I see. I'm sure you have plans to do many things for this. Do you have any plan to go back? Do you have anything to do with your family members? And what does this journey lead us to?
Yeah, in terms of my search for my birth parents, I think I've come as far as I can. But it's certainly not the end of my experience as an overseas adoptee. I'm currently writing a book. In fact, I'm almost done with it in terms of my challenges that I've experienced growing up as an overseas adopted Korean. And my purpose of that book is to help serve as an inspiration and as a guide for others to help them overcome their challenges. And also, I'd like to return to Korea someday with my children and let them experience just the richness of their cultural heritage and hope that they fall in love with Korea in much the same way that I have.
I see. I mean, we still have a far to go, but just listening to your plan, it just makes me satisfied, say relieved, I should say. All right.
Okay.
Thanks for your time, Rob, and we'll keep in touch and let us know what's up.
Thank you,
All
Brian.
right? Thank you.
Bye.
잉글랜드에 살고 있는 로버트 앤더슨, 김기정 씨입니다. 친가족과는 상관없는 이름입니다. 예. 아마 고아원이나 입양기관에서 지은 이름이 분명해 보입니다. 김기정 씨고요. 72년 2월 4일생으로 추정을 하고 있고 2살 때 미네소타에 입양이 되어서 왔습니다. 지금 현재는 잉글랜드에서 아이들 넷을 키우면서 행복하게 살고 있고요. 많은 입양아들이 아시다시피 미국 또는 유럽에서 새로운 가족을 만나고 살고 사랑하며 성장해 갑니다. 하지만 입양 가족의 선정 기준이 엄격하다 해도 실제 아이들이 살면서 입양아들이 겪고 살면서 견뎌가는 과정은 때론 매우 복잡하고 어려울 수도 있었겠다라는 생각을 다시 하게 됩니다. 폭력과 학대가 상존할 수도 있고요. 이들을 돕는 손길은 또 요원할 수밖에 없었겠죠. 20, 30년 전의 일이니까요. 자, 그것이 삶의 부분이지 않겠냐 하시는 분들도 있겠습니다만 글쎄요. 로버트 앤더슨, 김기정 씨가 살아온 시간은 그리 녹록하지는 않았다는 것은 분명해 보입니다. 자, 그러면 이제 과연 이것이 누구의 책임인지, 누가 갚아야 할 몫인지는 이제 남은 저희들이 생각해 볼 대목이 아닌가 싶습니다. 자, 오늘 롱킹맘 투게더는 잉글랜드에 거주하고 있는 김기정 씨, 로버트 앤더슨 김기정 씨와 이야기 나눴습니다. 그가 더 행복해지고 더 빨리 한국의 가족을 찾기를 간절히 바랍니다. 여러분들도 같은 생각이시죠? 이 영상을 더 많은 분들이 한국에서 볼 수 있도록 여러분들도 도와주시기 바랍니다. 저는 다음 영상에서 다시 뵙겠습니다. 최인성이 있습니다. 여러분 감사합니다.